Hi, all. Welcome to Reading Royals with body language expert Scott Rouse, and I'm Kinsey Schofield. Reading Royals brings history, headlines, and human behavior together in a way only Scott and I can. We go beyond palace press releases and carefully staged photo ops to look at what is really being communicated. And this episode is a bit different because we're talking Sentebale, and we're going to be observing Dr. Sophie Chandauka. So, you've already watched a lot of this, Scott, and you covered it on your channel. And we'll go into updates on why we want to discuss this today. But hi.
Hey, I got a question for you. You're traveling a lot lately. And
Yeah.
so when your Instagram stuff comes up, I click on it and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm I'm 5'7". I thought you were going to ask how Yo Nuts was.
Oh no, 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 no. No, you're just a little bitty thing. I thought you were taller than that.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Because I
you.
see you standing with those people, I'm going, that person's not very tall. No, it's no offense. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I thought you were taller than that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. But Yo Nuts was
Yeah.
fine. It was average. Better name than the actual product, you know? Always disappointing when
Yeah.
you walk into a place because it makes you chuckle and then the product wasn't as appealing as the laugh it gave you. If you're ever in
Yeah,
my neck of the woods, I'm taking you to Yo Nuts.
I'll go. I'll go. Well, shoot, I was a fat guy once. I love that stuff.
All right, well, let's
So,
I you might not be familiar with this, although you may, but there's been a development when it comes to Prince Harry and Sentebale. So here's the latest. The charity co-founded by Prince Harry in honor of his late mother, Diana, it's now suing him for defamation following his resignation last year. Sentebale, which Harry launched alongside Prince Seeiso of Lesotho to support young people living with HIV in southern Africa. They filed the claim, Sentebale filed the claim against Prince Harry at the London High Court last month, according to court records. And here's where things get confusing for me because I'm used to saying Sentebale and it representing Prince Harry, and now Sentebale has nothing to do with Prince Harry, and they are going after him. Legal filings indicate both Harry and his longtime associate, Mark Dyer, are facing claims of either libel or slander. The
mhm.
paperwork's not available yet, and the dispute appears to stem from this internal tension, which you covered on your channel. It first surfaced in 2023 over a revised fundraising strategy, and by March of 2025, both Prince Harry and Prince Seeiso had stepped down as patrons, citing what they described as an irreparable breakdown in relations between the board and its chair, Sophie Chandauka. At the time, they said their decision was made in solidarity with five trustees who had just resigned as the internal conflict spilled into the public domain. Chandauka believes this was the beginning of a calculated smear campaign that has negatively affected the trajectory of the charity, and that's why they are currently suing Prince Harry and his friend. I have no clue whether or not they'll win, but it does seem like if you read Tom Bower's new book, Betrayal, he had great access to Dr. Sophie Chandauka. And she claims that she hired this third party expert when it comes to marketing and analytics to look at why Sentebale was struggling with fundraising. And that person approached Harry along with Dr. Sophie Chandauka, and they said, here are the tangible analytics that show proof that, first of all, your wife is incredibly toxic to the brand. And next up, you hurt yourself with the publication of Spare with the Netflix series. And so I think that they said to him, you should have called Spare duty, like, why are you playing this victim card? And so that is when Dr. Sophie Chandauka said, like, Harry was like, I've got to get her out of here. And he starts trying to gather his group of friends to figure out how they can push her out. But Harry actually has friends on his side refer to Dr. Sophie Chandauka's actions as a hostile takeover. So a lot of chaos. And is there any new information in there for you, or were you privy to all of that prior to you covering this on your own channel?
Yeah, usually when we do those things, we just look at them for whatever the things are a few minutes before we go and do the show. So any information before that I didn't have, and a lot of times we don't want any information, so we'll be able to read the body language without the taint of that smell of this guy's mean or she's doing something wrong or he's doing something wrong and all that, so we can make a better call on it.
Oh, so I just blew
So,
that. Sorry.
yeah, but that's totally okay. That's totally okay. Afterwards, we found out we knew afterwards,
Yeah.
since all that's gone by, and
Yeah.
since I've become addicted to watching these royal things, it sounds horrible, but I can't believe I'm at this age. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing now? Like I was telling you earlier, some friends of mine, their guys are sort of interested in that too, because
Yeah.
they're asking questions about that.
I
So,
love it. I love it.
yeah.
I love we're reaching a new audience. That's incredible. Just before we revisit this initial interview Dr. Sophie Chandauka did, because our objective or my objective in asking you about this particular interview is to say, do you think that she's being truthful? Is her
Oh,
whole heart into this? Because she's taken it to another level that I think surprises
mhm.
all of us, including Harry, with this, libel lawsuit. I think that it's kind of shocking all of us. So, do you remember your first instinct or what your first response was when you saw this before we go into it? Or how did you walk away feeling about Dr. Sophie Shindaka?
I believed her. I believe the woman in this because she does what's called loping, and that's when you're explaining something. Like I'm the kind of person I get to think about what I'm talking about, and I get four steps ahead, and it starts getting stiff and jerky. But when somebody's explaining something that happened, and they're just talking about it, loping along, and there are no stops, there are no gaps, there's not a whole lot of thinking about it. Then that gives you a pretty good idea that person is just relaying what they know. It's nothing they're thinking up or it's being deceptive because your brain has to do three things before you're deceptive. Before you lie about something, when you get triggered when somebody asks you the question, you have to say, "Wait a minute, I can't answer this honestly." Then you have to make up the answer, and then you have to deliver that answer. And so, out of those three sections, we see a lot of information on that. And there was no stopping, no pausing, no her thinking about the answer. You just know this happened, and that
Just like
happened. So she's just loping.
comfortable flow, like
Yeah,
brain to mouth. Like there's no like
yeah.
searching in here.
Right.
Wow.
And women are when women can read body language better than men can. And men, because like I'm always talking about how men they have a gut feeling and think they know everything, whereas women they get a whole lot more information. They gather a lot more than we do from a body language perspective and from a situational perspective.
Mm.
That's why they always get that feeling. I don't know. And guys go, "No, we're going to do this," and the woman will say, I don't know. Something's not right about it. And they'll say, what's not wrong? What's not right? And the woman would go, I don't know yet. But they'll figure it out later. They'll come and say, I know why now. Maybe 2, 3 days later.
I know you're not saying that directly related to Dr. Sophie Shinduk. I know you're just generalizing this, but
Mhm.
it does feel like her instinct told her something. So she went and she did what the appropriate professional thing to do was. She found a third party expert. She went and found a marketing branding expert and said, I need you to run a couple of tests and present us with the results. He comes back and says, Meghan's toxic. I mean, there are some other stories that I'm sure you've heard circulating about this, where there was an incident between Meghan and Dr. Sophie Chandauka at a polo game. Do you remember that?
No.
Where Meghan moves Dr. Sophie out of the way so that she can hold the trophy, and she
Oh,
like,
I remember that. I
yeah.
remember that.
So
Yeah.
like I feel like Dr. Sophie just she did know, but she also was clever in documenting it from a professional standpoint by going and finding someone smarter than she was to
Hmm.
say, yes, and here's the proof.
That's probably why she's in charge over there. Because she understands leadership, knows how you do that, and goes, here's what we need to do. Because if I just go in saying that, it's going to look so she's pretty sharp.
I think so too. And we're going to watch a couple of these quotes from her. She talks to Sky News almost immediately after Prince Harry resigns because She says, I think that this is part of this campaign, this bullying. She called it bullying, remember at the time? I think this is
Mhm.
part of this bullying campaign that he's pursuing against me. And she just wanted her side of the story out there. And it's really interesting in this interview. She says they asked her to defend Meghan Markle after that polo event, and she's like, I'm not going to be a part of the Sussex PR machine. She's telling us so much about how Harry and Meghan work behind the scenes. And
Mhm.
Harry dismisses these interviews, but I feel like this lawsuit is her digging her heels in to the polo field, kicking the divots, and then digging her heels in to the polo field, and by saying like, no, I'm being so truthful here that I want the world to know, and I'm gonna go the legal route to prove it. So
Prince Harry and Prince Seeiso thought that they were uniquely placed to respond to the needs of orphans and vulnerable children.
very confident in her response and not critical of Prince Harry. I thought like that she gives him credit for starting this charity. She's like, "Hey, Prince Harry thought he was in a unique position to um elevate help some people in our community." That was a really great soundbite. That was a really great answer.
Yeah, and because she's a professional, she knows how that works. It doesn't whether he started on has started it badly or whatever. That means that has nothing to do with anything. She's getting right to the things. She didn't get in there and dig in right on him right away because she's saying, "Here's the way things look. Here's the lay of the land." So if she was again making this up or she was not being completely honest about it, then she would have started, throwing just jabbing at him little spots in there. Every time his name comes up, she'd make a face and that kind of thing. But she's being straight ahead. She's being, here's the way. She's like a businesswoman, obviously.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's no. If somebody just showed me that and said, "What do you think about this?" She looks fine to me. Nothing going
Yeah.
on there.
There doesn't seem to be any like simmering hostility to you.
Um, Well, the way she's smiling, usually when you use your illustrators, like your illustrators, the way your brain emphasizes specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases. And hers come up one or two times, and they're fairly big. And the larger they are, the less likely that person is being deceptive.
Mm.
So, but at the same time, you can put that in with anger, but she's not all stiffened up and got a frown on her face, that kind of thing. So it seems to be flowing. So I think she's just telling the way things are. Here's the way everything looks. It's smooth. Everything's going great. However, there's this one problem. We have a glitch in this guy, and here's what's happening. Here's what he did. So she'll just put him in as a part of the big flow of stuff. She'll just sort of put him in as a section, and then it'll go away.
So when I arrived in July in 2023, of course, the first thing you do is you open the annual report. It was pretty obvious to me that we had lost quite a number of corporate sponsors.
I believe everything she said right there because,
Yeah.
like, to your point, she's like, bam, point A, point B, point C. It flows. And quite frankly, it's common sense. She's saying, I start on the board, I open the books, I see an obvious concern
Hmm.
that we're losing major donors. And I'm looking at the dates and they match up with Harry leaving the British royal family. And I'm saying to leadership, is it not odd to you that we're not having this discussion around Harry being directly related to the loss of this money and everybody just shrugging their shoulders, going, well, that would be a weird conversation to have. I mean, it's common sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell by the way she's sort of giving him the side eye. She starts to squint when she starts talking about where the problems, where she's finding the problems. And so usually if it was made up, she say, well, the problems, the eyes get wide. I'll tell you what happened was this. He did this and this. But she's saying, I saw the problem. In other words, she's saying, I saw the problems when they started, they were around when he was leaving and those kind of things. So she gets that side eye and she's wanting to talk. She has what's called, well, it's not information that she shouldn't have, but it's information she wants to give, but she's not giving. She's holding back a little bit,
Oh.
a little bit of anger there. I think she's kind of, which anybody would be if somebody comes in and they're ruining your thing that you've set up,
Mhm.
especially if it's something you're supposed to be doing to help people,
Right.
you know. So, that seems to be the way things go with them. they get themselves involved in these things are supposed to be really wonderful. Like the Invictus games, I think he's involved with that, and that's a wonderful thing. So hopefully that doesn't get messed up. But they've kind of tainted it, made it look weird because of, people like us looking at him going, that just doesn't,
Yeah.
she shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be saying, those kind of things.
Do
So,
you believe her when she says, because I thought it was an interesting way she delivered the line about how she doesn't like to share family business. Was there authenticity there when she said, I normally don't like to share family business? It's like clearly you're there to share family business. That's the objective of this interview. So
yeah,
is that an honest statement? And I'm not being critical of her. I'm just saying you don't agree to go do this news program if you're not there for that specific reason. You're there to defend yourself. You're there to be like, well, actually, the problem is, and she
yeah,
goes into it much more here but the to start it off with like, no, normally I wouldn't do this. It's like, okay, but you literally are there to do this.
yeah. Well, maybe she's just well, the way it looked to me was she was saying, I hate talking, I hate talking bad about this. I don't, it bothers me to give you inside info, but here's what happened. Because in a situation like this, when you've got somebody who's that high end, he's really famous and all that, you've got a company he's working with, you've got to do something. You've got to come out and say something media wise. You don't have to, but it's best to if you want. So when people look at that and go, well, they may not have just gotten along, whatever. So you have to have whoever your leader is come out and say, here's what happened. Here's what's going on. I don't like talking about what happened on the inside, but we need to talk about it. Even she said, we need to talk about this. So I
Well,
think
I mean,
it'll be fine.
to your point, it looks catastrophic
Mhm.
for Harry and Prince Seeiso of Lesotho, and then five different board members to leave. It looks catastrophic. And she's saying, you're not going to manipulate me into having to leave
Right.
because of bad headlines. So I totally get it. I absolutely get it. And I'm like really impressed with the way she's handled all of this. To your point earlier, she's an incredibly intelligent woman.
And even when he was in the meetings, he didn't actually contribute that much. So I'm not surprised that he didn't know much of what was going on in the
So,
organization.
I will confidently say she's not been given any of these questions or quotes beforehand.
oh,
And she
100%.
is on it. Like, well, that
Yeah.
guy was never showed up. And, he never contributed when he was even there. I'm not even sure he was awake. I mean, she has such, I mean, she's lethal. And
Yeah.
if I had a charity, I would want this woman to run my charity.
Yeah. Well, see, and then this guy that's with her, that he's with the company as well,
Yeah.
correct?
Ian,
Because
yes.
I think I see what's happening here. When you have a business, you have to have three people. You have to have your person who's the creative person who says, "Here's what we ought to do here. Here are the creative side of this." And then you have the analytical person. You have the person who counts the money. You have the person who says, "Oh, we've got this much time," that kind of stuff. And if you don't separate your creative person with your analytical person will kill a creative person. And they'll start tamping. Oh, dude, we can't do that. It's too much money. That we can't do that. So everything will be that. So creatively, that person loses strength. So you have to have that person in the middle to go to be the execution person in the middle of that and be able to look at the analytical guy and say, hey, look, hang on, man. I know you've only got this much time and money. I'm going to go talk to her. Hang on a minute. We'll see if we can get this worked out. So you have to have that person in there in the middle in there. So
Yeah.
I believe they've got that person somewhere, but they don't have that person there or that group of people there that take care of that because you can tell she's the one that's the over arching figure in that because she's the one that's apparently the creative part of it and partially the execution part of it. But I think there's an execution person in there that's missing because those two seem to be getting along really well.
Well,
And a lot of times,
I thought you were going to say that she was the like Ian's there to be more of the, like you said, the analytical, here are the rules that we're trying to follow, here's protocol. Um, just kind of the enforcer in a boring way, and she's
yeah,
kind of the enforcer. I want to say good cop, bad cop, but it's not working here because that doesn't work in this scenario. But she
well,
is,
she's in charge. She's the
yeah.
one. She's the one in charge. So that's what you're seeing. It's two power structures there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's
Different,
the
but
one that's on
different.
the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that's on the inside saying, okay, we can do that, but we can't do that because of this, and this. And she's trying to get it worked out. So they both have there's a power structure, two of them they're working together there. But this one fights against that one simply because that's his job is to make sure that there's enough money, make sure time-wise everything works, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
what you're seeing is correct.
Yeah.
You're seeing correctly. Yeah.
What I think is interesting too is that Ian, that individual, he works with some of Prince William's charities, and they brought him in right after they lost Prince Harry.
Mhm.
So that I think was a strategic play to, because I was wondering if inevitably they'd try to bring Prince William over to Sentebale, which is Harry's
Mhm.
charity, but with that connection to Ian, that's what I was wondering. But yeah, it's like he seems like he's very by the book, and he's going to regurgitate some of while he might talk about weaknesses within the charity, it's going to be just regurgitated governance and protocol and rules. But
Mhm.
she's like, that guy was sleeping in meetings. Like she's coming with
Yeah.
receipts. She's got the receipts and she's willing to be a little bit more personal than Ian is. And maybe that's because Ian's newer, but I also think it's her very bold and very incredible personality that I'm growing to adore more and more.
And everybody's shocked and quiet. But this is what happens when the prince is in the room and no one has the courage to speak.
Basically, she's saying, like, this is a lawless charity with Harry in charge. And
Mhm.
I'm just trying to create some form of rules and guidelines, or I'm actually trying to follow the rules and guidelines that exist for charities like this in general. Like, it's not like I'm
Mhm.
trying to reinvent the wheel. But when Harry's in charge, there seems to be no method to the madness, and everybody just goes along with it because he's Prince Harry. And that probably is Harry's reality throughout a lot of his life. I'm not surprised by this. And like we were talking earlier, she has such a dynamic personality, and she is so fierce that I would want her on my team.
Yeah, that's the kind of person you want. That person
Yeah,
will get out there and get everything done. Then we'll say, here's the problem. That's how you become a CEO. You know the company, you know how it works. And if there's a problem, you fix it. And she's fixing it. So, and I think a lot of times when you have people like Harry and these people come in and they want to be part of whatever the charity is, it's so they can say I'm part of the charity. But they give them power in there to be, you see what I'm saying? And that's where the problem is because they get in there and say, I'm part of this. I think we should do this and that. And they listen to them. Some putz who's never really done anything,
yeah,
except stand around and play polo. Have you ever
right.
seen anybody play polo? Have you ever seen that in person?
Yeah, I have.
How was it?
I was bored out of my mind.
So it's just like what is it like basketball except
No, basketball is
hit
fun, I think. I think watching basketball is fun. I don't like, I didn't, yeah, I didn't like polo. I don't, I don't really have a reason. It's like guys running around on horses all over the place, and it's just,
but basically the game is get the ball into the basket or the
it's like hockey, but on horses. Yeah.
oh okay that's what I was getting at was the
Yeah.
simile or
Yeah.
metaphor to
Okay,
that
there you
um,
go. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying too, and I think she's probably starting to feel out by that specific story is she starting to feel outnumbered? Another friend of Harry's, another friend of Harry's, another contact of Harry's, and it's like at what like she's losing or has lost control here because now she knows she's got this gang of people that are going to always outvote her, always outnumber her. And she is looking at real analytics. She's hiring people that are smarter than she is in certain aspects, whether it be marketing or branding or whatever. And they're all telling her it doesn't matter because Harry says we need to go this way. Harry says we all need to walk, take a left at the red light. So we're all going to do that. And that has to be incredibly frustrating.
yeah yeah I mean, but you can understand that I mean he does I'm not He doesn't know what's
Harry
going
is
on
not the
there.
brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. He's
No,
not
he's
the
not a business
sharpest
guy.
crayon in the box. He's
Yeah.
an idiot, okay? And here he is trying to run this charity like it's a boys club or like it's just his after school club with his friends. And she's saying, okay, this might have worked 10 years ago when we were flooded with money because you were the world's most eligible bachelor, you had a great reputation, and people wanted to work with you and donate money to your causes. But today, you've left the British royal family, you've complained about them to Oprah Winfrey, you've written a book tearing into them. Your brand is not the same, the response to our charity is not the same. And she's like, you can't continue to behave that way because times have changed. It's as simple as that.
So when does this go? Is this already in court? This thing there, is it full on?
No, they just announced it on Friday, so we have to sit back and wait and see. But I feel like it could be very interesting because it would be the first time where Prince Harry would have to answer for his own words, answer for his own actions. No one ever challenges him. When he sits down for interviews, Oprah not once said, "Is that real? Are you sure? Tell me exactly who said that." Like no one ever challenges him. And
Yeah.
this would be the first time where he would have to justify his behavior and justify his words. And it would be a really hard pill to swallow. I can tell you that much right now.
Yeah. I wish Piers Morgan would talk to him. I
We
wish
all
he,
do, but there's no way Harry would sit down for that interview because he only talks to media that will give him positive press.
oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think Piers would tear him up, man.
And so what you have is entrenchment. And there's a reason why you have term limits, because people begin to mark their own homework, and turkeys don't vote for Christmas.
I love that line. I've loved that line ever since she first said it. You know, you start to mark, you're there long enough, you start to mark your own homework. That's a great line. And what is about the turkeys? Don't, whatever, vote for them. I don't
Turkeys
know.
don't vote for Christmas or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like so many times I don't know who we'd be talking about specifically, but I feel like I mean probably Meghan, where we'll be like she practiced that. That's something that she said in a mirror 900 times. But Dr. Sophie is so authentic and organic in her delivery. Uh, there's a little bit of hostility and annoyance that, but she doesn't like it doesn't make her come off in a negative way. You
Yeah.
feel it, but you relate to her more or you like her more because it's so real. And it's just like you said earlier, these phrases are just pouring out of her mouth so effortlessly. And you go, I would enjoy sitting next to her at a dinner table.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason she's so mad is these people who are entrenched in being on the board is because those people make money sitting on a board. They pay you well to do that, some of those places. So
Wow.
if that's a big charity, then these people are getting big checks. That's why they fight and want to stay on there. That's why they don't leave. I know people who that's the way they make a living is being on a bunch of different boards. That's what, and they're good at what they do, but
Wow.
they literally make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just being on a board or several boards,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow.
So
That's
that's why they're entrenched. Shoot, I'd do it because all you do is sit around and go, hmm,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's what we should. They go, what do you think? And you just tell them what you think about it. I mean,
Well,
it's a great gig if you can get it.
Well, and that's what she's saying she doesn't want because she's saying it was the same old stuff. She said
Right.
like why she just said it's not a great look for this charity to continue to take a bunch of white polo players all over the place to fundraise for uh sick African children. She was like, it doesn't look great. It's not the way I want to pursue fundraising going forward. A, it's not making us as much money as it used to, and B, environmentally, or I should say culturally, we've changed. Politically,
Mhm.
things have changed, and it makes Harry look like he's got this white savior complex, and it's not flattering, and it doesn't represent Sentebale, today. Yeah.
And the odd thing is, or the odd thing, these things make so much money. So many people involved with it make a lot of money. That's why they're there. And being the CEO or being the one in charge, she's the one that says, in other words, hasn't really said it yet. Because of these people, there's a whole lot of money leaving here. We're wasting money. In other words, she is saying we're wasting money sending these people everywhere and doing that. And it's supposed to be a charity. You're supposed to be helping, instead of sending people around to do stuff, you take that money and, it's like that Somali fraud stuff going on.
Hmm.
They're just keeping the money. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
And
and
some
that's it. She
charities,
does. She says this. She says, like, why do we have offices in London? Why do we have offices in London? Harry doesn't even live in London anymore.
yeah,
So you're right.
yeah,
She's saying we're wasting so much money.
yeah, yeah, it's people inside paying each other, and which is, that's the most horrible thing you can do.
Hmm.
Taking money to help people and then you keeping it.
Right. Yeah.
Oof. If you're
Questionable.
that into it, do
Questionable.
it for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Prince Harry actually does. Prince Harry will exclude him from that because I do think Prince Harry does it voluntarily. If you somehow haven't heard of Beam's Dream Powder, where have you been? We literally love Beam on Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Now listen, does this sound like you, night after night, the same story, tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling, and relying on coffee to get through the day? Yuck. That's what makes Beam a go-to for better sleep. With Beam, nights feel more restful without the tossing and turning, and mornings start with real energy, not grogginess. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Plus, it tastes amazing. The cinnamon cocoa flavor is a must try and the perfect treat before bed. Beam has already helped 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So, if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Kinsey. Use code Kinsey to get my exclusive offer for up to 40% off Beam's Dream Powder. So, my discount code is Kinsey. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. Stop pretending that you're still in your 20s and that you can survive a whole day without a good night's sleep. Place your order for Beam and see the difference.
Wow.
I do have a question about her body language. Like sometimes she's searching low, and then sometimes she looks at him, and it feels like she's looking at him because she's about to make an important point. Might that be on purpose?
Yeah. What you're seeing is frustration and anger.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information out there about eye movement and what it means when you look up to the left and to the right and down and all that stuff. There are no studies that significant studies that show any of that is true at all. That when you look up to the left, it means you're, accessing a specific part of your brain. That's not true. Greg Hartley and I were started at Louisville doing those brain studies on eye movement, and then COVID hit and everything shut down, so we didn't get to go any further. But we're getting that started back up here. I keep saying soon, but it takes a while to do. So when she's looking around, she's thinking of what to say. People will find a little spot and not specifically on a table or anything, but they'll look down a lot and when they think. Some people look up when they think. Some people will just, they don't look right at you because it's kind of weird when people are thinking as they think looking at you. That's why people think liars break eye contact. That's the opposite. Liars keep watching you because they want to make sure you believe them. So when people are thinking about things, they'll look down, look around as they think. It's just what people do. But she's got anger going on there. You'll notice in this one, we saw a lot of her teeth in this one, upper and lower. And that lets us know that's anger. Then you can see her nostrils flare a little bit more there. Watch her teeth. You'll see more upper and lower teeth. And you'll see almost like a little snarl in there as a micro expression a couple of times. She doesn't like Meghan at all. Not
I'm
even a
wonder
little bit.
I'm wondering because I do believe her because I'm hearing this from her words, I'm hearing this out of her mouth. I believe her. But Tom Bauer says, and I told you this earlier, that the breakdown begins when she presents Harry with these reports that suggest that Meghan is not a beneficial asset to the charity, and neither is he. This, so I don't know where the truth is. Or maybe these things happen really close together, and she's like, well, my question, I guess, not to you specifically, but as I watch this and having read Tom Bauer's book so recently, is she giving this example as when things break down? Because it's such an obvious example of Harry and Meghan not having their ish together. Harry changes the venue of the polo polo game, and now Netflix is coming. Well, oh my God, now it is a commercial venture, so common sense would say this changes the whole game. We have to have insurance and a different type of insurance, and now we have to ensure everyone has given us permission to show their faces on Netflix. Also, Meghan says she's not coming, but this couple that's like obsessed with security has decided at the last minute that not only is Meghan Markle coming, but so is Serena Williams. And now we have to manage where we're going to put her away from everyone else and how security is going to work. So I'm wondering if that truly is the second things break down when she refuses to defend Harry and Meghan and everything, or if this is just such a great story that anybody sitting back listening at home goes like, "Oh my God, that is a you know what show. That is a you
Yeah.
know what show. I get it."
I think she saw her shot to get them out of the picture, or a chance to say, look, because you're talking to the person who's running the thing. She's got to watch every dime. She knows where all the money goes. That one right there knows. So she knows how full of it he is and how full of it she is too. And Harry goes in, not being a business person at all, and looks at that and says, okay, we're just going to do this and start slinging these things around, not knowing, like you were saying earlier, you've got to do specific things. You've got to get different insurance. These people here, Netflix is involved. You say that, they go, oh, now we're going to charge you this much instead of that much. There's all these things that happen, and he has no earthly idea is happening. So I'm sure this, or I would bet that this charity isn't that important to him. It's just something he can stick his name on and say he does charitable things like
Mm.
they do. That's why he doesn't care about those things. That's why he didn't call her and go, look, here's what's happening. Can we do this? No, he just said, we'd like to bring some cameras over and do this and that. And it's Netflix. And I'm sure everybody said, well, yeah, great. It's great for us. We're going to do Netflix. But so much comes with that. They're talking about a lot of money. And so it's a charity. So you have to, it's different than just like normal people do. You say, well, they just do it. It'd be fine. You've got to make sure the money allocated for that goes to that. You've got to make sure that you've got enough, that you don't have to go into somewhere else to get money to put more money in there if you've planned to do that. Those CEOs plan, they're really analytical. They plan all that stuff out. They're obsessive about that. That's why she's mad, because of the money.
To your point, if Harry really cared about this
Hmm.
charity, they wouldn't have had to have begged him to come out for the first time in several years. It had been, I think 4 years, maybe 5 years since he'd been there when they begged him to come out and to just check on everybody. The last time he was there. Um, but I think that it's the only path he knows. I think these charities are all he has.
Hmm.
Yes, they help with his brand. He uses them as a branding opportunity. I totally agree with that. But some of it, I think, boils down to just ha always having things done for him as a member of the British royal family and truly losing that 6 years ago. Losing the losing re reliable help. And I do think that he struggles to keep help because him and Meghan aren't very easy to work with. But when he was in the protection of the palace, he always had somebody there to catch him if he were to fall. That helped build Sentebale, that b helped build Invictus Games. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to completely say he doesn't care. Because I think he does care. I think he makes a lot of these mistakes because he's used to having everything done for him. But if he really did care as much as he says he cared, they wouldn't have had to have begged him to visit the last time he was there.
Yeah, it's just a badge he wears. That's why I'm not in a good mood on during this show. I mean, usually we can goof off and talk
Well,
about
I haven't
this
shown
guy.
you a foot picture yet, I won't
See,
do
here
it.
we
I won't
go.
do it today.
There it is. There it is. There it is. But I can't, because I know this guy's wasting their money that could be helping these people that need help. That's what the
Yes.
charity is for. And
Yes.
he's like, I want to be on this. Look at me, and we'll talk about that too. So he puts his badge on. Says, I've got this badge. We can use them.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can
yeah.
use it. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, he's starting to get on my nerves worse and worse as these things go along.
Well, I mean, what you're referring to is Harry calling and saying, "I'm going to disrupt a planned polo event to bring my friends at Netflix along um, so that I can actually execute this contract that I've signed with Netflix." It's not about benefiting Sentebale, when Harry wants to play polo for Netflix, it's about, just fulfilling his contractual obligations at the end of the day because he's got a polo show that he's got to push out there that he obviously wasn't proud of because he didn't do any promotion of it. Let's check and see where she goes next because
Wait, did
there
that
was,
show, did his polo show come out?
yeah, and you never heard about it because it did so poorly.
Is it still on Netflix?
Yeah, go check it out if you want.
Oh
He's
man.
barely in it, and Netflix was really disappointed because Harry and Meghan are barely in it. It's just a bunch of random people you've never seen before that have no personalities.
Really, what Prince Harry wanted to do was to eject me from the organization, and this went on for months.
I've read this before, Harry was going behind her back saying she's difficult, she's not going to be here for very much longer. Just don't even acknowledge, don't even work with her. Like, don't worry about it. This is a temporary
Yeah.
situation. That is concerning. Like that really,
But the
when I
reason
think,
that's happening, the reason that's happening is because she's stopping him from getting to the money.
yeah,
See, she's stopping him from being able to spend all this money, and so he doesn't like that. He's just used to doing what he wants.
yeah,
So, from a business perspective, that she's the block in getting anything done. So you can be part of a charity and give money all that, but if you make that person in charge mad, they don't have to be nice to you because their goal, like the head of a Nabisco or Kellogg's or something, or a huge IBM, big company, their thing is the people who invest in them. That's what they're worried about is the stockholders. And this woman is worried about her company. That's her thing. And she's mad. And so he's coming in trying to just throw these hand grenades everywhere, blowing stuff up and spending money. And she doesn't like that. But he's part of it and he helps bring attention to it and all that. So she has to try to put up with it. But I'm sure she's had it. And I'll bet you there are things that are worse than what we're hearing that he's done. Because you know how it gets all snide in those the politics of things like that. And he's comes from a family where they got a couple of those in there, like what is Andrew, his uncle? How does that work? What is
yeah,
that?
his uncle, yeah, Uncle Andrew.
Yeah. So,
I think,
yeah.
when she was saying that about how he was going behind her back and stopping some of the donors from working with her specifically to try to
Oh,
sabotage her, I am thinking if she has proof of that, there could be a real lawsuit there. Like that to me is really concerning if there's proof of these conversations that are happening behind her back.
yeah. Yeah. If he's stopping donors from giving money, so it'll help him. Yeah, man, that's bad. Yeah, that's why my face is getting red. That's a bad guy. I don't like him at all anymore for stopping doing that. Little kids are dying and he's not helping them.
Right.
He's stopping funding to that.
Well, and then when it was announced that they were suing him, he accused them of using donations for this lawsuit. And they actually came out and said, no, we're not using donations for this lawsuit. We're funding the lawsuit separately. And then he complained that they weren't using that money towards the charity. So he's never happy.
Yeah, okay. This is the one I've always thought, he's just not very smart, not a good guy. I don't like this guy anymore at all.
He
Not even a
did.
little bit.
He seems very arrogant and bitter and lame in this entire scenario.
Yeah, whatever it is, if he's keeping money from little children who are dying of AIDS, nope, I'm not into this guy.
If the world didn't want to believe that there's such a thing as bullying, this unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Sentebale who received this and have had to defend it.
The way she, is
Yeah.
pronouncing some of her words, she is done. And she wants to spell this out for us because she knows she's on the right side, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's all anger there. When you start slowing down, you got your diction becomes perfect. Yeah, that's anger. She's mad. And again, a lot of teeth on that one.
Yeah,
And we usually see that when we're dealing with somebody who's angry.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And can you blame her? Let's be honest
No,
here.
but that's the kind of person you want running your company because she doesn't care who's involved. If you're messing it up, she's going to tell about it. She's going to get it fixed. So if they get rid of her, that's the dumbest move they could make. Well, that means it's rotten to the core if they do.
It was me who was the problem because I put a whistleblower complaint about the bullying, the harassment, and the misogyny, and Prince Harry interfered in the investigation of that.
Oh my gosh, like she's not having it. I couldn't even when I was listening to the host, interpret that as so you're the problem. I was like, how have you heard her talking for the last 16 minutes and you would even still come to the conclusion that she's the problem?
Yeah. Well, then, but it sounds to me like Harry was making her the problem,
Right.
saying
Right.
she's a problem, you get rid of her so he
Yeah.
can, do whatever he wants over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'd want, you'd want to keep her because she didn't take any,
No,
what from anybody.
no, she's not. She's
So,
not taking none of it.
Sentebale has had a future. We must stop infantilizing Sentebale. Sentebale is 19 years old.
Do you feel like she believes herself when she says that, like, hey, he wasn't around for quite some time. I handled the business.
yeah. Yeah. Because she believes in the cause. She's a true believer for that thing. You can hear what she's saying.
Yeah.
That's why you want that kind of person. She's good for that. If I don't know if they got rid of her, if they're trying to get rid of her now, but if they do, then they're trying to keep her.
Yeah, she's one of the people instigating this lawsuit against
Okay.
Prince
Okay.
Harry.
Then
So,
smart move on their part,
yeah.
because that shows that she's right,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, I'm
incredible.
all worked up. Sorry.
I love it. I love it. So just basically a recap of how you feel. You feel like this is do you feel based on body language, based on delivery, that this is a trustworthy individual?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because she's not, poking holes everywhere. Every time she gets a chance, she's not stabbing the guy. She's just telling what happened. And listen to what she says from a business perspective.
Yeah.
She's talking about it from a business perspective. So that's what's got her so mad. So I'm sure it bothers her personally, but a lot of that she's keeping out of it. We didn't hear about that, uh, you know, him
The
trying to get rid
trophy.
of her until the end there,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're
So
right. And it all sounds like such common sense. Like we're spending more than we're making, or, if
yeah,
Netflix is now involved, then it's going to take all of these, there's all sorts of new checklists we have to go down, and there's going to be, potentially it becomes more expensive. Yeah, that's really interesting. All right, well, if you enjoyed this program, please go subscribe to Scott Rouse on YouTube right now. Uh, we will collab on this video. So if you just click on the picture of his head, you'll be taken right to his
send me a
channel.
picture.
Agree with us, disagree with us about our commentary throughout the show. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And we are going to be your #1 source for this Sentebale lawsuit. We're going to cover everything, and who knows, I might even sit in court and watch the whole thing unfold if I have to, because I think that this is fascinating and potentially the first time Prince Harry is held accountable for anything. And I want to see that in real life. All right. Um, we hope you enjoyed your time. We will see you again next week. Thanks so much for being here today, Scott Rouse.
Thanks for having me. You say it every time, but I'm so glad to be here. I can't hardly stand it. Yeah, I just worked up today because I don't like this guy
You're
anymore.
just
Not
worked
that I
up.
liked him in the first place.
You were just worked up because there were no feet photos this time around.
See, there you go. Beginning, I'll find out what it is, man. I'm going to find out what bugs you. You think I'm kidding? I'm going to find out what it is. And once I do, oh man, I'm a professional, you know,
Yeah.
smarty pants. And
Okay.
it'll be bad.
The countdown is on. All right, we'll see you guys.
I'll find your mother's telephone number. I'll give her a buzz and she'll tell me. She's going to love me. I'll talk to her and get her to like me, and she'll tell me all about it. She may not even know she's telling me about it, but she'll
Oh my
tell me.
God. All right, we'll see you guys again next week. And I might have some feet photos. Bye.